It's hard to know what to call a car like this, really. Is it an estate, a sports coupe, a sports car, just a run-of-the-mill family wagon? I think the one thing we can be certain of is that it's undeniably epic. Hello and welcome to the Volvo P1800ES. As a lifelong Volvo enthusiast and collector myself, I'm awfully excited about the car to my left. It's a 1973 Volvo P1800ES, and we're going to have a proper look around it, inside and out, under the bonnet, and then we're going to get it out on the road. And the weather's supposed to pick up and be sunny and everything. What a fun day this is going to be. So let's crack on. When you think of Volvo today, you tend to think of probably one thing, a big square car with a pathological obsession for safety. It's not necessarily a bad reputation to have, but what you don't think of is sleek, Italian-designed sports coupes and shooting brakes, do you? But that's exactly what Volvo were going for in the late 1950s and early 1960s. You see, Volvo had tried and failed in 1955 to enter the sports car market with their P1900 sports convertible. I'm sure you've probably never heard of it, which really does speak volumes about its popularity. It was designed for the export market with the idea of a sports convertible not really sitting all that well for the Swedish climate, but most of them were exclusively sold into Sweden. So with that failure in the books, they really needed to step up their game, and that's exactly what they did in 1959 with this, the P1800. The P1800 really did hit the mark and ticked a lot of the boxes that the P1900 really had failed to do so. It's a far cry from the Volvos of today, and every bit a 1960s sports coupe with plenty of chrome trim, sweeping lines and lovely old fins at the back, along with a punchy 100 horsepower engine. Volvo themselves didn't actually have the facility or the capacity to build a car like this at the time, so as much as they did a lot of the brunt work along with design house Gear over in Italy, this was actually assembled and built right here in Old Blighty. Well, the early ones were, at least, by a little manufacturer you might have heard of called Jensen. The P1800 worked wonders for Volvo, probably far more than it really was ever expected to do so. Around 39,000 of the things were sold in its over decade-long production, and it still remains one of the most iconic Volvos of all time. But above all of that, it was the car that made Volvo cool. Rather interestingly, I like to think Roger Moore is heavily responsible for that, because this was his hero car in his TV show The Saint, where he played Simon Templar. To this day, people remember the car from The Saint just as much as they remember him. Now, the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed this isn't really the sports coupe I've been referring to throughout this video. No, this is a P1800ES, or shooting brake, as you might have noticed from this side profile, so allow me to elaborate. To really shake up the model name with around a decade of production under its belt, the P1800ES was introduced in 1971 to add a level of practicality to their now well-established Volvo sports car. It was a clever move, this, because Volvo didn't really need to change anything mechanically or even at the front end. All they did was add on this shooting brake rear and this iconic glass tailgate, and they opened the model up to a wave of new buyers, leisure enthusiasts who wanted to put skis in the back, or dogs, or children. I don't know what you wanted to do with your ES at the time, but it worked, and around 8,000 of the things were sold in its short 1971 to 1973 production period. It certainly looked the part inside as well. It's classically Scandinavian in here. Everything is very well thought out, robustly built, and excellently designed. These seats are nice and high backed, and not only do they look the part, they are incredibly comfortable. They're ergonomically designed to be as comfortable as possible when you're putting in the miles. The dashboard is very well laid out. There's a high level of fit and finish. There's seats in the rear and a big old boot on this, the ES shooting brake, and you've got that iconic tri-spoke steering wheel that has an uncanny ability to look exactly the same no matter what orientation it's in. So when you're parked, you never know if your wheels are straight. Overall, I absolutely love the cabin of this P1800, especially in this lovely baby blue colour. It really does look the part. Early P1800s were based mechanically, at least, around Volvo 121s and 122s, with a variety of different petrol 4-cylinders available, but with the P1800ES there was pretty much only one engine on choice, a 1986cc inline 4, or 2-litre in layman's terms. It was good for around 124 brake horsepower, which was a big upgrade obviously over the early 100 horsepower cars, and had an eye-watering, blisteringly fast top speed of 113 miles an hour. These were available with a 4-speed manual transmission or a 3-speed automatic, which was typically a column shift. Overall, it's quite a nice little engine, it's reliable enough, and if you don't mind waiting for shipping for Sweden, you could still get a lot of the parts for these. So then, at long last, the Volvo P1800ES. What's it like to drive? Let's find out. It's a very pleasant car, this P1800. You can tell there was a great deal of care and thought went into the design, not just on the outside and the engineering, but inside as well. The seats, naturally ergonomically designed, are incredibly comfortable. They hold you nicely, they look the part. Even the ones in the rear are very good. It rides incredibly well, to say the least. It swallows up the lumps and bumps, as I often like to say in my road tests, and provides a very comfortable ride. I'm not on the smoothest road in the world, but it certainly feels like I am from where I'm sat. Power is probably about as you'd expect. It's not going to win any land speed records with 125 brake horsepower, give or take, but it can keep up with modern speeds, and if I put my foot down, it will get up and go to an extent. It's a respectable performer, certainly. 3-speed automatic gearbox. I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of it personally. A 3-speed is always going to have really quite long gears, and I can't help but feel like a 4-speed manual, as most of these cars had, would be a little bit more preferable, especially on a nice country road like I'm on today. When it gets to the corners and the twisty bits, it's respectable enough. The suspension does its job nicely, and I can't really complain too much. There's certainly some body roll. It's not the tightest or the sharpest thing ever, but it's still pleasant nonetheless. I've thoroughly enjoyed my day with the Volvo, and I might be a little bit biased, as you can probably tell from my Volvo t-shirt, but I think something like this you could comfortably use every day. It's manoeuvrable enough, even without power assisted steering. With the automatic gearbox, it'd be nice and easy in a town. I've got oceans of glass, including that lovely rear tailgate, which makes visibility aplenty. There's very little not to like here. You can see why a coupe version of these has comfortably done over 3 million miles. So then, the Volvo P1800ES, what do I think? Well, there's no getting around it. I absolutely love this thing. The notion of don't meet your heroes isn't always true, because this thing is exactly as I expected it to be. Excellent and classically Scandinavian. It's well laid out, it's well designed, it feels nice and robust. It's just a quality item. I prefer it looking like this in ES shooting brake form to its standard sports coupe, but I would have either or. The P1800ES is a wonderful thing. It's incredibly practical. I mean, look at all that boot space. It drives lovely. It's comfortable to be in. There's very little not to like here, and I think that's starting to show in the values of these things. The ES didn't really used to have as much of a following, but in recent years, these are starting to surpass the standard sports coupes, and they're making very strong money. If you want to get yourself into one, I'd suggest doing so quite quickly, because they're really shooting up. In terms of transmission, I would prefer a manual, but the automatic is perfectly fine. I think whatever you do, just get yourself into one of these. Overall, the P1800ES gets a thumbs up from me.